How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, May 1st, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Saturday, April 30th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and taking a look at where we are, starting with the NBA, there are 8 teams left in the NBA as the second round of the NBA playoffs start today, and I'm going to do a preview for that in an episode following this. Jumping into what's going on with the NHL with hockey. Today is the last day of the NHL season, as of course I'm going to get into that right before we get into the playoffs that start tomorrow. Taking a look at what's going on with baseball, teams are still in about their second, third weeks of action, as this is the second month of the MLB season that we're about to enter into. And we are about to enter into the last month of soccer as we are still in the middle of quite another contentious weekend as teams are still trying to win their leagues. With that said, starting first with the NBA, there were no playoff games yesterday as the second round is set to start tonight. The first matchup, the first game one that's going to be taking place today will be in the Eastern Conference as the second seed Boston Celtics are going to host the 3 seed Milwaukee Bucks, who are the defending NBA champions coming into this matchup. Looking first at how Boston was able to get here, Boston swept the 7 seed Brooklyn Nets to make it here. The Milwaukee Bucks were able to win their series against the Chicago Bulls. They won that game. They won that series in 5. Taking a look at the second game that's going to be taking place today, the 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies are going to host the 3 seed Golden State Warriors out west. Taking a look at how these two teams got here, the 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies ended up beating the 7 seed Minnesota Timberwolves in 6 games as they won that last game in Minneapolis. Taking a look at how the Golden State Warriors would get here, the Warriors ended up beating the 6 seed Denver Nuggets in 5 games in order to make it here. So, of course, congratulations to all the teams that made it here, and the first 2 games will get underway today. The first of the 2, Boston versus Milwaukee, is going to be at 1 o'clock today on ABC. And then right after that on ABC at 3:30, we're going to see the Grizzlies hosting the Warriors in FedEx Forum. Taking a look at what's going on with the NHL, today is the final day of the NHL season as the Winnipeg Jets host the Seattle Kraken, the brand new NHL team. The NHL playoffs will get started tomorrow, as I will do a preview for this round when we get to it. Taking a look now at what is going on with the MLB. Starting off in St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks would end up beating the Cardinals 2-0, scoring both of their runs in the 8th inning off of a Ketel Marte solo home run and a Nick Ahmed solo home run. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown St. Louis Cardinals were led out by their starting pitcher, Miles Mikolas. Mikolas would pick up his first loss of the season as he allowed 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 7.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters before he was pulled in the 8th inning. With this loss, Mikolas is 1-1. No one in the Cardinals batting lineup would finish with more than 1 hit, and now be attributed to great pitching from the Diamondbacks. The win for the Diamondbacks went to their starting pitcher, Merrill Kelly. Kelly would allow no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 7 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters on the day, and with this win, he's now 2-1. The save would go to the Diamondbacks closer, Ian Kennedy. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter and even walked one. This would be his first save of the season. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their shortstop, Nick Ahmed, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He would go on to hit his second home run of the year. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 10-12. That is the worst record in the National League West. And that is where they're sitting right now. They've won their last 2 games. They've won 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants. And with this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 11-9. That is the second best record in the National League Central. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They sit 3 full games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at what happened in Toronto, the Blue Jays hosted the Houston Astros. The Blue Jays would end up beating the Astros 2-1 after they scored the first 2 runs of the game, both of them off of home runs from George Springer. On the losing end of this matchup, the Houston Astros would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Luis Garcia. Luis Garcia would go on to allow 2 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He struck out 5 batters and then lost 1, or he would walk 1. And with this loss, he's now 1-1. In the Astros batting lineup, their right fielder Kyle Tucker went 2 for 4. Their left fielder Chas McCormick went 2 for 5. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Blue Jays would see the win go to their starting pitcher Jose Barrios. Barrios would allow 1 earned run off of 7 hits in the 5.2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 2 before he was pulled in the 6th inning, and with this win, he's now 2-0. The save would end up going to the Blue Jays closer for the day, Jordan Romano. Romano would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. This was Romano's 10th save of the year. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their designated hitter, who used to be an Astro, George Springer, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 5th and 6th home runs of the season. Their elite shortstop, Bo Bichette, went 2 for 4, and their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. went 2 for 4. With this win, the hometown Toronto Blue Jays are now 14-8. That is the second best record in the American League East. They are tied with the Los Angeles Angels for the second best record in the American League. The Blue Jays have won 7 of their last 10 games, and at the moment, they sit a game and a half behind the division-leading New York Yankees. With this loss, the Houston Astros are 11-10. They are tied with the Seattle Mariners for the second best record in the American League West. The Astros have lost 5 of their last 10 games, and they now sit 2.5 games behind the division-leading LA Angels. That's where they sit. And that's where we sit as we jump out to San Francisco. The Giants went on to host the Nationals, and they won it 9-3. They would go on to win it by 6 after they scored 7 of their runs in the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings combined after the score was tied at 2. After the Nats scored the first 2 runs of the game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Washington Nationals saw the loss go to their starting pitcher, Joan Adon. Adon would go on to allow 4 earned runs off of 4 hits in 4 innings. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 3. With this loss, Adon is 1-4. And in the Washington Nationals batting lineup, their first baseman, Josh Bell, went 2 for 4. Their left fielder in this matchup, Yadiel Hernandez, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their center fielder, Victor Robles, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. And then last but not least, their shortstop, Alcides Escobar, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown San Francisco Giants saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Logan Webb. Webb would allow 3 earned runs off of 11 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He struck out 3 batters and then walked 1. With this win, Logan Webb is 3-1. In the Giants batting lineup, their first baseman, Darren Ruff, went 3 for 5 with a run. And then their third baseman, Jason Vosler, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his second home run of the season. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are 14-7. That is the best record in the National League West. And it is tied for the third, or actually, no, they're not tied. They have the third best record in the National League as they sit behind the Milwaukee Brewers and the New York Mets. The Giants have won 7 of their last 10 games as they now sit half a game ahead of the second place LA Dodgers, and they sit half a game ahead of the third place San Diego Padres. They have 1 more win than the Dodgers and 1 less loss than the Padres. And that is where they sit. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are 7-16. That is the worst record in the National League East and the second worst record in the National League. Only the Reds have a worse record in the league. The Nationals have lost 9 of their last 10 games. They sit 8.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this matchup done, jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago White Sox hosted the AL West leading LA Angels. The White Sox would shut the Angels out 4-0, holding the Angels to 6 hits all game. On the losing end of this matchup, the LA Angels would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Jose Suarez. Suarez would allow 4 earned runs off of 8 hits in the 4 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 2. With this loss, he's now 0-2 for the Angels. In their batting lineup, their shortstop and Dean Wade would end up going 2 for 4. He was the only player on the Angels who would go on to finish with more than 1 hit for the day. And on the winning end, that was Tyler Wade who did it for the Angels. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago White Sox saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Vince Velasquez. Velasquez allowed no earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5.2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters, and with this win, he's now 1-2. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop Tim Anderson went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his third home run of the season. Their left fielder in this particular matchup the left fielder in this matchup would go 2 for 4, as their left fielder in this particular matchup was AJ Pollock. Addition to him, their second baseman in this matchup, Josh Harrison, would end up going 2 for 2 with a run. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are 8-12. That is the third best record in the American League Central. They've only won 2 of their last 10 games, and they sit 3.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins at this point in the season. With this loss, the Los Angeles Angels are 14-8. That is the best record in the American League West. They've only lost 3 of their last 10 games. They still hold the second best record in the American League, as they are tied with the Blue Jays. Only the Yankees have a better record than the Angels in the American League. They sit 2.5 games ahead of the two-way tie between the Houston Astros and the Seattle Mariners for the second best record in the AL West. Taking a look at what happened in Oakland, the Oakland Athletics hosted the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians would end up beating the A's 3-1. The score was tied at 1 going into the top of the 9th. It would be a 2-run double from Richie Palacios to give the Guardians their win. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Oakland Athletics would see the start come from Cole Irvin. Irvin allowed 1 earned run off of 6 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He struck out 4 batters and then walked 2. The loss for the Athletics would go to their closer, Danny Jimenez. Jimenez would allow 2 runs off of 2 hits in the 9th inning, as with this loss, he's 1-1. In the Athletics batting lineup, their third baseman in this particular matchup, Kelvin Smith, would go 2 for 3. Also, the A's second baseman, Nick Allen, would go 2 for 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians would be led out by their elite starting pitcher, Shane Bieber. The former American League Cy Young winner would allow 1 earned run off of 7 hits in the 7 innings that he pitched. He struck out 7 batters and then walked 1. The win would go to the Guardian setup relief pitcher, Nick Sandlin. Sandlin allowed no earned runs and no hits in the 8th inning. With his win, he's now 1-1. The save would go to their closer, Emmanuel Clase, as he allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in the 9th inning. This would be his 4th save of the year. In the Guardians batting lineup, their left fielder in this particular matchup, Stephen Kwan, will go 2 for 4. He was the only player with a multi-hit game. With this win, the Cleveland Guardians are now 9-12. They are holding the second best record in the American League Central. They've won 2 of their last 10 games. They've won 3 of their last 10. They are now sitting 3 full games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this loss, the Oakland Athletics are now 10-11. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 3.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels at the moment. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the Rays would host one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, as the Minnesota Twins would beat them 9-1. After both teams were tied at 1 going into the 6th inning, the Twins would go on to take the lead off of Kyle Garlick's second home run of the game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Tampa Bay Rays would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Shane McClanahan. McClanahan allowed 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in 5 innings pitched. He would strike out 11 batters and then walk 2, and with this loss, he's 1-2 on the year. In the Rays batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit, as the win would be, as all this would be attributed to good pitching for the Minnesota Twins. The start for Minnesota would go to Chris Archer. Chris Archer would allow 1 earned run off of 2 hits in the 4 innings that he pitched. He struck out 4 batters and then walked 3. The win would go to the Twins' first relief pitcher of the day, Cody Stashak. Cody Stashak would allow no earned runs in the 5th inning as he struck out a batter. This would be his second win of the year. He's now 2-0. In this batting lineup, the Twins were led by their shortstop, Carlos Correa, who was the Platinum Glove winner from last year. He went 3 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their left fielder, Kyle Garlick, went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, as he had his second and third home runs of the season. Their right fielder, Max Kepler, went 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs and a run, as he had his 5th home run of the season. And then their catcher, Ryan Jeffers, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI. With this win, the Minnesota Twins are 12-9. That is the best record in the American League Central, as they've won 8 of their last 10 games. Currently looking at where they are sitting, they are currently holding on to, they're tied with the Tampa Bay Rays for the fifth best record in the American League. They sit 3 games ahead of the second place Cleveland Guardians in their division at the moment. With this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are also 12-9, holding the same record, the whole tie for the fifth best record in the American League. The Rays have now lost 3 of their last 10 games. They sit 3 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. Taking a look at what happened in Miami, the Marlins hosted the Seattle Mariners. The Miami Marlins would end up beating the Mariners 3-1 after scoring all 3 of their runs in the 5th inning. They would take the lead off of an RBI single from John Berti. On the losing end of this matchup, the Seattle Mariners would see the loss go to their elite starting pitcher, Robbie Ray. The reigning American League Cy Young winner would allow 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 8 batters and then walk 4 on the day, and with this loss, Robbie Ray is 2-2. In the Mariners batting lineup, their left fielder Jesse Winker went 2 for 4. Their shortstop J.P. Crawford will go 2 for 4 as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Marlins would see the win go to their starting pitcher Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo would allow 1 earned run off of 2 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and then walk 2. With this win, Luzardo is 2-1. The save would go to the Marlins closer Anthony Bender. Bender allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 9th inning as he would allow 2 hits and then strike out 2 batters. This would be his 6th save of the year. In the Marlins batting lineup, their third baseman Brian Anderson went 2 for 4 with a run. He was the only player with a multi-hit game. With this win, the Miami Marlins are 12-8. That is the second best record in the National League East, as they have now won their last 7 games. Their 7-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the National League. Only the Yankees have a longer winning streak in the majors right now. The Miami Marlins have won 8 of their last 10 games. They now sit 2 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are 11-10. They are tied with the Houston Astros for the second best record in the American League West. They have now lost their last 4 games. The Mariners' 4-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the American League. Only the Cincinnati Reds have a longer active winning streak in the majors. With this 4-game losing streak, the Mariners have lost 5 of their last 10 games. They sit 2.5 games behind the Angels as they sit even with the Astros at this moment. Jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pirates hosted the San Diego Padres. And in a game that went to extra innings, the Pirates would beat the Padres 7-6. They went into extra innings tied at 5. The Padres would open it up with a RBI single from Trent Grisham. In the bottom of the 10th, Ke'Bryan Hayes would tie the game up on an RBI single. And then Brian Reynolds, reaching on a fielding error, would bring Ke'Bryan Hayes home, as that would give the Pirates their 9th win of the year. On the losing end of this matchup, the San Diego Padres would see the win go they would be led out by their starting pitcher, Sean Manaea. Manaea allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 6.2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 3. The loss would go to the Padres closer for the day, Luis Garcia. He allowed 2 runs off of 1 hit as he pitched 1 full inning. He would go on to record a strikeout, and with his loss, he's now 0-1. In the Padres batting lineup, their center fielder, Trent Grisham, went 2 for 5 with an RBI. He was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. Their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, went 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Pittsburgh Pirates were led out by their starting pitcher, JT Brubaker. Brubaker allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 1. The win would go to the Pirates closer, Chris Stratton. He allowed 1 run off of 1 hit in the 9th and 10th innings as he struck out a batter. With this win, he's now 1-1. In the Pirates batting lineup, their third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their first baseman in this particular matchup, Michael Chavis, would end up going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 9-12. That is the 3rd best record in the NL Central. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. They now sit 5.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 14-8. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West, as they've now lost 3 of their last 10. They now sit half a game behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants. Taking a look at what happened in Baltimore, the Orioles hosted the Boston Red Sox. The Orioles would end up beating the Red Sox 2-1. After the Red Sox scored the first run of the game in the top of the first, the Orioles would tie it up in the bottom of the eighth off of an Anthony Santander RBI single. And then once it went to extra innings, it would be Robinson Chirinos bringing Jorge Mateo to the plate to give the Orioles their seventh win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Red Sox would be led out by their starting pitcher Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi allowed no earned runs off of 3 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He would strike out 8 batters, and with the loss would go to the Red Sox closer, Hirokazu Sawamura. Sawamura would allow no earned runs as he would not record an out in the 10th inning. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their elite second baseman Trevor Story went 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite third baseman Rafael Devers went 2 for 5. And then on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Baltimore Orioles were led out by their starting pitcher Spencer Watkins. Watkins would allow 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 4.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 1. The win will go to the Orioles closer for the day, Jorge Lopez. He allowed no earned runs in the last 2 innings of the game as he struck out a batter and even walked 1. With this win, Jorge Lopez is 2-1. In the Orioles batting lineup, their center fielder Cedric Mullins went 2 for 4 with a run. He was the only player on the team with a multi-hit game. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are 7-14. That is the worst record in the American League East. They are tied with the Texas Rangers for the worst record in the American League. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 8 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees at this point in time. With this loss, the Boston Red Sox are now 9-13. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games, and they now sit 6.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. Taking a look at what happened in Arlington, the Texas Rangers hosted the reigning World Series champs, Atlanta Braves. The Rangers would beat the Braves 3-1 after scoring all 3 of their runs in the first 4 innings of the game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Atlanta Braves would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Bryce Elder. Elder would allow 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out a batter and then walk 3 before he was pulled in the 5th inning. With this loss, he's 1-3. In the Braves batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Texas Rangers would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Dane Dunning. He allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 7.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7, and with this win, he's now 1-1. The save would end up going to the Rangers closer, Joe Barlow. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter, and with this save, this is his first of the year. In the Rangers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. Their elite shortstop and former World Series MVP Corey Seager would end up going 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Texas Rangers are now 7-14. That is the worst record in the American League West, and they are tied with the Baltimore Orioles for the worst record in the American League at this moment. The Rangers have won 5 of their last 10 games. They now sit 6.5 games behind the division-leading LA Angels out west. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 10-12. That is the 4th best record in the National League East. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They sit 5 full games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened to the Mets hosted the Phillies, and the Phillies were able to beat the Mets in Queens 4-1 after the Mets scored the first run of the game. Phillies took the lead in the 7th off of a 2-run home run from Kyle Schwarber. And on the losing end of this matchup, the hometown New York Mets would see the win, they were led out by their starting pitcher Taijuan Walker. He allowed no earned runs and 2 hits in the 5 innings he pitched as he would strike out 1 and then walk 2. The loss for the Mets would go to their second relief pitcher Adam Ottavino. Ottavino would allow 3 earned runs off of 2 hits as he would strike out 1 and walk 2 before he was pulled in the 7th inning. He would pick up his first blown save of the year, and with this loss, Ottavino is 1-1. In the Mets batting lineup, their left fielder Mark Canha went 2 for 4. And on the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia Phillies were led out by their starting pitcher Kyle Gibson. Gibson allowed 1 run off of 2 hits in 4.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 5. And then the win would end up going to the Phillies' second relief pitcher on the day, James Norwood. Norwood allowed no earned runs in the 6th inning as he would strike out 1 batter. And with this win, he's now 1-0. The save would end up going to the Phillies' closer, Corey Knebel. He allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 8th inning and pitched the entire 9th, striking out a batter and walking 1. This would be his 4th save of the year. In the Phillies batting lineup, their center fielder Odubel Herrera would go 2 for 2 with an RBI. He was the only player on the team with more than one hit. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are 11-11. That is the third best record in the National League East, as they've won 7 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 4 games behind the division-leading New York Mets at this moment. With this loss, the Mets are now 15-7. That is still the best record in the National League East. They are tied with the Brewers for the best record in the National League, as the New York Yankees now are the only team with a better record than the Mets right now. The Mets have lost 4 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 2 games ahead of the second-place Miami Marlins in their division. Taking a look now at what happened in Kansas City, the Royals hosted the hottest team in baseball, the New York Yankees. The Yankees would end up beating the Royals 3-0, scoring all 3 of their runs, peppering them in the second, third, and fourth innings. On the losing end of this matchup, the shutout Kansas City Royals would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Cesar Hernandez. Hernandez would go on to allow 3 runs off of 4 hits in the 4 innings that he pitched. This is Carlos Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez would strike out 3 batters and then walk 5. And with this loss, he's now 0-1. In the Royals batting lineup, their designated hitter, Hunter Dozier, went 2 for 4. And then their right fielder in this match, Edward Olivares, would end up going 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the New York Yankees would see the win go to their elite starting pitcher, Garrett Cole. Cole allowed no earned runs off of 5 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 2. With this win, Garrett Cole is 2-0 on the season. The save would go to the Yankees' elite closer, Aroldis Chapman. Chapman would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning, and with this save, he now has 5 on the year. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Gleyber Torres, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their center fielder in this matchup, Aaron Hicks, would go 2 for 2 with a run. And then their left fielder, Joey Gallo, went 2 for 2. With this win, the New York Yankees are 15-6. That is the best record in the American League East. It is the best record in the American League, and it is the best record in all of baseball right now. They're the only team who's won at least 70% of their games so far. They've won their last 8 games. Their 8-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in baseball as well. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting a game and a half ahead of the second-place Toronto Blue Jays in their own division, who are also holding the second-best record in the American League, tied with the Angels. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are 7-12. They are holding the 4th-best record in the American League Central, as they've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They are sitting 4 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins in the Central. Taking a look at what happened in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers hosted the Chicago Cubs. The Brewers were able to beat the Cubs 9-1, as they were not able to allow the Cubs to get a lead all game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Chicago Cubs would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Justin Steele. Steele would allow 4 runs off of 7 hits in the 3 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 1. With this loss, Justin Steele is 1-3. In the Cubs batting lineup, their designated hitter, Wilson Contreras, went 2 for 3. Their third baseman, Patrick Wisdom, would go 2 for 4 as well. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Milwaukee Brewers would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Eric Lauer. He allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 7 innings he pitched, as he struck out 11 and then walked 1. With his win, he's now 2-0. In the Brewers batting lineup, their elite left fielder, Christian Yelich, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. The right fielder, Hunter Renfroe, went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. He hit his 5th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Rowdy Tellez, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run, as he hit his 4th home run of the year. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 15-7. That is the best record in the National League Central, as they've now won their last 5 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They are now sitting 3 games ahead of the second-place St. Louis Cardinals in their division. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 8-13. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central, as they've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 6.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers at this moment. Taking a look at what happened in the Mile High City in Denver, the Colorado Rockies were able to beat the Cincinnati Reds 4-3, as all 4 of their runs came in the 6th inning, off of a 2-run double from Charlie Blackmon to tie the game at 2, and then a 2-run triple from Ryan McMahon that would put their lead out of reach. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cincinnati Reds were led out by their starting pitcher for the day, Connor Overton. Overton allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 2. The loss would go to the Reds' first relief pitcher on the day, Art Warren. Warren would allow 3 earned runs off of 2 hits as he would not even make it through the 6th inning. He would walk 2 batters and then get pulled. This would be his first blown save of the season, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Reds batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Rockies. The win for the Rockies went to their starting pitcher, Chad Kuhl. Kuhl allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 7.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters, and then with his win, he's now 3-0. The save would go to the Rockies closer, Daniel Bard. Bard allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2, as this would be his 6th save of the year. Their third baseman, Ryan McMahon, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And with this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 12-9. That is currently the 4th best record in the National League West, as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 4 of their last 10. They are now sitting 2 full games behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants out west. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 3-18. That is the worst record in the National League Central. They've now lost their last 5 games, and they've lost 9 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 11.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Within this division, they're holding the worst record in the NL Central, the worst record in the National League, and they're holding the worst record in all of baseball. They're the only team that's lost at least 85% of their games this year. And like I said, they trailed the Brewers by 11.5 games in the season, as they are only 21 games in. Last but not least, jumping out to LA, the Los Angeles Dodgers would host the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers ended up beating the Dodgers 5-1 after the Dodgers scored the first run of the game. After Javi Baez would tie the game off of a single in the 3rd, the Tigers would score 3 in the 7th, of course, led by an RBI double from Javi Baez, and then a 2-run single from Austin Meadows. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown LA Dodgers would be led out by their goated starting pitcher, Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and then walk 2. The loss for the Dodgers would go to their first relief pitcher, Evan Phillips. Phillips allowed 3 earned runs off of 2 hits as he would strike out 2 batters. He was pulled in the 7th inning. With this loss, he is now 1-1. In the Dodgers batting lineup, their elite right fielder Mookie Betts went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the Detroit Tigers were led out by their starting pitcher, Beau Brieske. Brieske would allow 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 2. The win would end up going to the Tigers' first relief pitcher, Jacob Barnes. Barnes allowed no earned runs in the 6th inning, and with this win, he's now 2-0. In the Tigers' batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Javier Baez, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their right fielder, Austin Meadows, went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Their third baseman, Jeimer Candelario, went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are 7-13. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've won 3 of their last 10 games. They now are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this loss, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 13-7. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting half a game behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants within their own division. And they're also holding, or I guess sitting behind the Brewers, the Mets, and the Giants. They are currently holding the 4th best record in the National League at this moment, just to get a sense of how close everything is at the top. But right now, with that said, that is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Taking a look at what it's going to look like at the top of May, because today is Sunday. It looks as though the primetime game is going to be at 7 o'clock on ESPN, as the NL East leading New York Mets are going to host the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets are going to be led by their goated starting pitcher, Max Scherzer. Scherzer enters this matchup with a 3-0 record, holding a 1.80 ERA. Zach Eflin enters this matchup holding a 1-1 record and a 3.20 ERA. Looking at the games that aren't on prime time, at 1:05, Jordan Lyles and the Baltimore Orioles are going to host Nick Pivetta and the Boston Red Sox at Oriole Park. At 1:10, Josh Fleming and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host Josh Winder and the Minnesota Twins in Tropicana Field. At 1:35 in PNC Park, Mitch Keller and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Joe Musgrove and the San Diego Padres. At 1:37, In Toronto, Kevin Gausman and the Blue Jays are going to host Framber Valdez and the Houston Astros. At 1:40 in Miami, Sandy Alcantara and the Marlins are going to host Logan Gilbert and the Seattle Mariners, as both starting pitchers come into this matchup undefeated. At 2:10 in Chicago, Dallas Keuchel and the White Sox are going to host Michael Lorenzen in the AL West leading Los Angeles Angels. At 2:10 in Milwaukee, Corbin Burns and the NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers are going to host Marcus Stroman and the Chicago Cubs. At 2:10, Daniel Lynch and the Kansas City Royals are going to host Luis Severino in the MLB leading New York Yankees. At 2:15 on ESPN Plus in St. Louis, Jordan Hicks and the Cardinals are going to host Zach Davies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. At 2:35 in Globe Life Field, Taylor Hearn and the Texas Rangers are going to host Max Fried in the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves. At 3:10, at Coors Field, Kyle Freeland and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Raver San Martin and the Cincinnati Reds. At 4:05 in San Francisco, Alex Cobb and the Giants are going to host Josiah Gray and the Washington Nationals. At 4:07 in Oakland, not that far away, James Kaprielian and the Oakland A's are going to host Tristan McKenzie and the Cleveland Guardians. At 4:10, last but not least, in Dodger Stadium, the LA Dodgers are going to be led out by their elite starting pitcher Walker Buehler as they host Eduardo Rodriguez and the Detroit Tigers. Walker Buehler enters his matchup with a 2-1 record, holding a 2.55 ERA at this point. Last but not least, taking a look at what's going on in the middle of quite a very contentious weekend of soccer. Starting off with the English teams, Manchester City is still sitting at the very top of the Premier League, just by 1 point after they were able to pull off a 4-0 win versus Leeds United. Their lone goal in the first half came from Rodri. Their 3 goals in the second half came from Ake, Gabriel Jesus, and Fernandinho. And then second place in the Premier League is occupied by Liverpool at the moment after they were able to beat Newcastle 1-0 with a 19th minute goal from Naby Keita. Liverpool sits only 1 point behind Man City as both of these teams have 4 games left. The Premier League title is up for grabs, but mainly from these two teams, as Chelsea, the third place team, is now, I would believe, out of contention, considering Chelsea is 16 points below Liverpool with 1 less game played. They are not able to compete for this championship at this point. Looking next at what happened in La Liga yesterday, the top team in Spain, Real Madrid, was able to beat Espanyol. They were able to see a first half brace from their Brazilian forward Rodrigo. Their third goal came from Marco Asensio in the second half, and their last goal came from their elite French striker Karim Benzema. With this win, they have officially clinched the La Liga title for the 2021-22 season as the La Liga title stays in Madrid, but it will not go to a repeat champion. They, of course, are sitting 17 points ahead of second place Sevilla right now, which is, of course, mathematically locking it up for them. Congratulations to this Real Madrid team. Moving on down, Atletico Madrid had an opportunity to win. They ended up losing to Athletic Club. They would get an own goal scored against them in the first half, and then they would get a penalty kick scored against them in the second half. Penalty kick was scored by Iñaki Williams. With this win, Athletic Club is now sitting 8th in Spain with 1 less point than Villarreal, and they are sitting 4 points out of 6th place. With this loss, Atletico Madrid is still sitting 4th in Spain. They have 2 less points than Barcelona and 4 more points than 5th place Real Betis, and they are the reigning champs, still trying to fight to keep themselves in Champions League at this point. And then taking a look at what is going on as we move through the other leagues. Jumping to Italy, Napoli was the best team to win yesterday as they were able to beat Sassuolo 6-1. The only player who had more than 1 goal was Dries Mertens, as Kalidou Koulibaly, their elite Senegalese defender, got the first goal of the game. Victor Osimhen, their Nigerian striker, would get a goal as well. Lozano scored their third, and then their last goal will come from Ramani in the 80th minute. With this win, Napoli is currently holding the 3rd best record in Italy. They sit 2 points behind second place Inter, and they are currently sitting 4 points ahead of 4th place Juventus, as they have 1 more game played than all of them. But they are doing a really good job, and I would imagine they have already cemented a spot for them within Champions League with 2 more games left, as the final spot is between Juventus and Lazio. Lazio was able to beat Spezia yesterday, as their first goal would come from their elite Italian striker Ciro Immobile. Taking a look at what happened in Germany, the reigning German champs fell short to Mainz after they had already won the Bundesliga title. Their lone goal came from Robert Lewandowski, their goated Polish striker, in the 33rd minute, after Mainz had already scored their first two games. And then Barreiro would score in the second half to give Mainz what they needed for the win. With this win, Mainz is currently holding on to the 9th best record in Germany, as they are sitting 10 points out of 6th place, out of a Europa League qualifier contention spot. Bayern Munich, with this loss, is still sitting 12 points ahead of second place Dortmund with 2 games left in their schedule, as they have already locked up the title. Dortmund ended up losing to VfL Bochum, as all 3 of their goals came from their elite Norwegian striker Erling Haaland. Bochum would end up winning it 4-3, as it would be a second half, or they would end up scoring 2 goals in the second half. They would win it off of a penalty kick to give them what they needed for the win. With this win, VfL Bochum is now currently holding on to the 11th best record in Germany, as they are now sitting 13 points behind 16th place Köln, with 2 games left in their schedule. With this loss, Dortmund is still holding on to the 2nd best record in Germany, as I think they've officially clinched that runner-up spot, and they are definitely going into Champions League next season. That is what I have for you, at least from yesterday. Taking a look at how matchups today are going to shape their respective leagues. Starting off in the Premier League, the 3rd best team in England, Chelsea, is going to face off against Everton and Liverpool today. Chelsea is, of course, entering this matchup holding the 3rd best record, as they sit 16 points behind 2nd place Liverpool, and they sit 6 points ahead of 4th place Arsenal. So a win or a loss wouldn't necessarily do anything to their seeding. However, because they are 8 points ahead of 5th place Tottenham, a win here, of course, would work towards clinching another spot for them, clinching Champions League for yet another season. Everton enters this matchup holding on to the 3rd worst record in England, as Everton is in danger of being relegated. Even a win here would not take them out of the bottom 3, but a win would actually do Everton a lot of good here. Same with Chelsea. Tottenham is going to host Leicester City at 9 o'clock as well. Tottenham holds the 5th best record in England, as their opponents, Leicester City, enter this matchup holding the 11th best record. Tottenham sits only 2 points behind Arsenal, as Arsenal is going to face off against West Ham at 11:30. West Ham is holding the 7th best record in England, so a win for both of these teams would be very good, very important. A win from West Ham would temporarily put them ahead and put them in and knock Man United out of 6th place. And then Arsenal would see a win for them, would see them move a little bit closer to 3rd place from Chelsea. It would help them move closer to clinching a Champions League spot, as they sit 2 points ahead of 5th place Tottenham at the moment. This is a very close race. Taking a look at what's happening in Spain, Barcelona is going to host Mallorca at 3 o'clock. Barcelona enters this matchup with the 3rd best record in Spain. They sit 1 point behind 2nd place Sevilla, as a win here would temporarily put them back in that runners-up spot, even though they're not going to win La Liga. They also sit 6 points ahead of Betis with 5 points left, so a win here could do a lot and help them clinch Champions League for next season. Taking a look now at what's happening in France today, the reigning Ligue 1 champs Lille are going to face off against Troyes, as that game is going to take place at 7 o'clock. Lille enters this matchup holding on to the 9th best record in France. A win could actually put them into 7th place, possibly, or just knock them right down to 8th, as they are currently 6 points out of 1st place. A win could at least move them a little bit closer, as this season is coming to an end. And then looking at the 2nd best team in France, Olympique Marseille is going to host Lyon. They're going to host Lyon at 2:45. Even though PSG has already clinched the title, only 2 teams from France automatically make Champions League. They're only 3 points ahead of Rennes. So a win would do a lot to help Marseille lock up a Champions League spot. Jumping out to see what's going on in Italy. The top team in Italy that's going to be playing today is going to be AC Milan. They're going to be facing off against Fiorentina at 9 o'clock. Fiorentina holds the 7th best record in the Serie A. A win here could possibly put them in Europa League contention, as Fiorentina still have a good amount to fight for. AC Milan only sits 2 points ahead of 2nd place Inter, so this is a must-win for them. Speaking of Inter is going to face off against Udinese at 12 o'clock, as Udinese enters this matchup with the 12th best record in Italy, as they are currently sitting 15 points removed from Europa League, as they are not qualified for it next season, but Inter still has a very big game to win. And then, of course, Juventus is going to be facing off against Venezia at 6:30 in the morning. As Juventus enters this matchup with the fourth best record in all of Spain. They are sitting, or in Italy, they sit 4 points behind third place Napoli, and they are currently sitting 8 points behind first place. They sit 7 points ahead of fifth place Lazio, as a win could, of course, do them a lot of good in helping them secure a Champions League berth for yet another season. And then taking a look at what is happening in addition to that, I guess that's really everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Monday, May 2nd. But I do want to thank the ESPN, the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, and the FIFA sites for giving me all the facts and figures, as we are in quite a very sports trafficked part of the year. But I do want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well, and I will catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well. I will do a preview for the second round of the NBA playoffs, and I do have an individual profile after this. So thanks for listening. There's more, and I will catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening to this piece. And one last time, peace out.